long-term periodization, I find really quite difficult. I think it's something that you can have a rough idea of where you want to go, but ultimately the program wouldn't necessarily fail if you didn't reach that, as long as that you were improving. So I don't mind if someone's working like in certain blocks, or they're working sort of conjugates, so they're trying to develop things at a very similar rate, or they're like microdosing. I don't really mind how people structure it. What I would argue is that as long as their athlete is actually improving, that's still important. So I'm going to pick like real arbitrary numbers here. Say that they squat 100, and for some reason I want them to squat 120 because I've linked being stronger in this particular motion is actually going to be a good determinant of performance. Say they're weightlifting. However, if I do it over 8 weeks and they got to 110, I wouldn't necessarily see that as a bad thing. Because people improve at different rates. And as long as they're improving linearly over time, to me, that is still very important. I'm really happy, and funny enough, is what I'm really doing this week in my own training, is that I'm doing the same program as I did last week. There were certain issues which I found really challenging last week on certain movements that were really important to my overall goals. So I want to do the same thing this week, but my rating of exertion for myself, the subjective measure, is much lower. That to me means I've actually improved. Yes, the numbers actually haven't gone up, but I've improved because that is so much easier. People are so keen to rush the programming to get to that end number by adding like, okay, it's got to be 5 kg added this week, then there's another 2.5. And it's just like, you get to a point where that person just can't push anymore. And it's one of the reasons why I'm a bit funny when everyone's trying to release like an 8-week program. Because it then forces people to think about peaking at the end, and that's it. I mean, you've been in this game for so long. How many people do you know that you go, oh, what's your maximum squat? Oh, it's 200 kilos. Oh, when did you do that? Oh, 3 years ago after a squatting cycle. So, well, you haven't progressed over time. You just peaked and then you just dropped. So you didn't progress. And that's, I think, quite a problem. And I'm probably guilty when I try and think, oh, I want to do this, and then I do this. I structure everything towards these different things that I end up, after I've reached them, I just go back down to base level. So over the years, I haven't actually improved as much as I'd want. And I think it's, just having like, okay, you've got to hit that target and hit that target, rather than just sticking to certain things that you want to improve over time. And then that translates more because you just have a linear progression over subsequent years. Yes, it doesn't look linear when you look at it microcyclically, but if you just take a step back macrocyclically, yes, everything looks a bit linear. So that's where I think a lot of problems are. It's people rushing, people desperate to show progression by adding more load, when really you can just take your time and the athlete will just end up improving anyway because they've had more practice at that particular movement, skill, whatever it might be.